everybody. Welcome to Ronline Report. Today's guest, you know him as the Martian, all the way from Texas, 25 years old, Martin Fitzwater. What's up, Martin? How are you?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Ron.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I spoke to you briefly with Branch right before the show, but I haven't spoke to you since the show. So let me say it for the first time in person. You looked phenomenal. Especially from the difference between last year's Texas Pro and this year's Texas Pro, almost two different people. Last year I saw potential in you. I said, he's going to be good, but I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. And then, because you had really good size, shape, structure, all that. Condition was iffy. It wasn't in love with your condition last year.
It was terrible. Don't fluff it up. It was shitty.
And then you were worse at the Legion show. I don't know why you chose to do that, but you come out on stage, and I got to say, I knew ahead of time because Branch shared some stuff on his phone with me. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. Well, and he showed me posing stuff from, I think, 3 weeks out from the Texas Pro.
Yeah.
And you look ready to go, ready to step on stage right then and there. So you knocked it out of the park, man. I was so impressed. Bigger, kept the waist tight. Condition was bang on. I mean, I don't know if I could have asked for better condition from you. So first of all, were you and Branch, were you both happy with the package you brought to Texas Pro?
Yeah, man. We were very happy with what we brought. I mean, obviously we know we improved drastically. So looking at it, I was exactly the same weight on stage or real close. Last year, I think I was like 239. This year I was like 238 to 239, depending on morning or night show.
Wow.
So it was about the same weight, but realistically, it was probably about 5 to 7 pounds of tissue in our minds.
Yeah.
Because I was probably about 5 pounds off last year from where I needed to be in shape. So that's very exciting. But there's definitely some things that we know we can improve. And then we saw some things on my physique that obviously going into the off season, I can't improve it in the 6 weeks that we had between the Texas and Arnold.
Yeah.
But knowing going into the off season, then we have some other things that we really want to look at too. So for going into the UK, one of the things that personally I think, and we've saw just from my check-ins and stuff, is I have a little bit more detail from the front if I'm just slightly a little bit flatter or drier, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that we lost those front shots to Andrew. So that's something that we can improve on. Like my upper quads really separate when I'm real dry from the front. So maybe not taking that approach of being completely bursting full and having that detail there. But it's some things, obviously my body's changing and improving as we're going into this. So I've had some time to eat these last couple of weeks, which has really made my body improve. And now I have a lot of triggers to pull to go back into getting into shape in these next like 3.5 weeks we have going into it. But that we also, my arms, they were a huge knock, and really my arms aren't bad. They're big, but in my front double, you can't see the detail. And a lot of it is because my long head of my bicep is really bound down. I've been getting some super deep dry needling done the last like week and a half, and it's opened my arms and my shoulders up so much. So my front doubles actually looks a lot better. I can get my lats out and everything. And I think if I keep doing that the next couple of weeks, it'll really open me up. Talking with the physical therapist that's working on me, she thinks a huge portion of it is just from shot put in college. I have a lot of scar tissue around the capsule of the joint. And so my humerus both sit forward like this in the joint, and it tugs on my rear delts, which makes them super tight. And so by opening everything up, I'm able to get everything through more. So I think that'll be a huge improvement for me. And then my abs just still suck. They sucked last year. I spent time and really worked them, but I think they can improve a lot. So although they look good in some poses, they're the first ones to go flat, which tells me that they're just not a dense muscle yet. And so I got to just really beat them up. So abs, as you know, recover well. So I'm going to train them every other day to every day, and just beat them up into this. And hopefully I can improve my midsection going into it as well.
So you're gonna try to thicken the actual abdominal muscles, like use some heavier weights on some exercises, or no?
Yeah, not I wouldn't say super heavyweight, because I think my waist is a tool in my arsenal that a lot of people don't have. So I don't want to thicken it up too much. That's actually something Jay told me like 2 years ago, was like, man, I always notice the guys with the tiniest waist never have super thick abs. But I will be doing a little bit of weighted crunches just to build that density. But I think a lot more of it will just come from doing holds and really like building that connection of just being able to connect with the abs and hold that contraction longer and harder, and just kind of, build that density, if you will, in a different way versus trying to thicken them up super. Because I don't want to thicken my waist. I like my waist how it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to thicken. I don't think anybody ever wants to thicken their waist, and unfortunately, it happens a lot. Did you get feedback from the judges as far as what they'd like to see improved on, or just between you and Branch and other people around you, do you have a good enough idea?
So I didn't personally, but Branch kind of talked to him and just kind of wanted to know like where we can improve and stuff like that. And it was mostly just from the front. They said I came out super strong, especially in prejudging, and I faded a little bit towards the end, especially in the quads and abs. They said I just kind of started to wash out a little bit, which I think is true. So that's one thing that we just, like I said, I think we can improve that look from the front, and be a little bit drier there. And then, maybe with the dryness being there, I can push eating a little bit more so I don't fade as much right going into it. But Branch has a good idea of how my body runs. We were very similar body wise, which helps a lot, how things work. And so it's nice, man. We have just a great team, and like you already know, we train every day together. He looks at me every day. It's a cool dynamic that we have.
I forget who came to who first. Did you come to Branch for help, or did he offer it? I can't remember the order that happened in.
Yeah, so I had like beat around the bush a little bit, and finally he was kind of like, hey, like if you want some help, like stop beating around the bush, I'll help you. And then with the coaching, it was more mentorship then. And then with the full out coaching thing, we got into off season, and it was like, I'm asking him like, hey, should I do this? Hey, should I do that? And then I'm just like, hey, like, if you're willing to, will you want to just take it all over and help me? And Branch, like he's not really willing to help anyone. So I was kind of like, I don't know, like it's kind of a shot in the dark. And he was like, look, man, I've seen you train with Brian the last couple months. I've seen how bad you want it. You moved here specifically for bodybuilding and stuff. He's like, I think that you and I can make a really good team if you just listen to me. He said, that's the biggest thing. You got to listen to me. Sometimes you're going to hate me, but you got to listen to me. And we'll make a good team, man. And it's paid off drastically for me. So
I got to say, man, when I heard Branch was coaching you, I have all the respect in the world for Branch, but I'm like, Branch as a coach, I don't know. Because, sometimes great athletes do not make good coaches. It's actually kind of rare.
100%.
But man, he did a hell of a job. And I got to say, I don't know if he's going to coach anyone else, or if this is a one and done. He's only going to work with you. Is he working with anybody else, or are you his only project?
So he works with a couple like other guys that aren't really like pros, that are just friends and stuff like that. But as far as like another pro, I don't really think that he would. Because I mean, realistically, like with me, it's like we train together every day and everything, man. So it's a different dynamic. He gets to see the whole process and be a part of it. And I think that's why we're so successful. Like, I don't think, sending him pictures every week, once a week would be the same effect with us. Like he can see my demeanor. He sees how, if he's pushing me really hard, if I'm like completely ran into the ground and my knuckles are dragging. And I give him a lot of feedback too. Like I coached myself for a long time. So I'm able to say like, hey, I think this works for me better than this worked for me, and let's try this. And because of that, and he listens to me, because of that, we have like an awesome team. Now, that being said, I think Branch could probably coach anyone, but I don't think that some people could handle how how tough he is, because
Yeah.
he's, I mean, I'm 250 pounds, man, and at the end, I'm doing days of 3 to 5 days in a row on 25 carbs and
Oof.
pushing my ass off, training the way we do, and still doing what we do in the Texas heat and stuff, man. And I absolutely love it. But I know that there's some people out there that would like you, it'll break you if you if you let it. So,
I
'cause,
can't.
I'm pretty mentally tough, and there was days, man, like I love Branch with all my heart, but we would pose in the morning, and he'd tell me that I had another low day, and I'd be like, man, I want to kick your butt. You know, so
Yeah.
I definitely think like he could get anyone just absolutely nasty peeled and have them right, but I don't know if they would want like it or want to do it.
I can only imagine, like, there's a lot of, you've coached people, you've dealt with, they're looking, a lot of them are looking for sympathy when things get tough and they're crying, oh, I'm so hungry. Can't I eat this? Or do I have to do that cardio? And I could see Branch would be having none of that. He'd be like, man, you want to do it. You want to do it. Get the hell out of here. He would just, I can't see him putting up with that for a minute with that kind of
Yeah,
nonsense.
man, and like obviously I know that, but obviously too, like he knows I would eat nails if that's what he asked me to do. So like that's a huge part of why we're successful, is because like he knows what he says is law, and if I don't think that it's gonna work, then I'll say like, hey, what about this? Because that hasn't worked for me in the past or something.
Right.
And then he's very responsive to my feedback too, because he's like, okay, well, actually, my body did something very similar to that back, then so maybe we'd try this instead. And it works really, really, really well for us. So
Yeah. I'm curious about the training styles because he's got his own very unique type of training. It's very similar to how Ronnie trained. I'm not really sure. I don't think you were training quite that way. Have you sort of adopted more of his style, or when you train together, do you sort of just do your own styles but the same exercises and so on?
yeah, no, so we've kind of blended it. So like when I first started training with him, like I didn't give any pushback. I was just like, you take the reins, Branch, like kick the crap out of me, make it happen.
Yeah.
And then like I just kept getting some bumps and bruises. My shoulders, they're like I just told you, like they're really scar tissued up and have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And so just some of the ways, like training arms the way he trains, training shoulders the way he trains, it was beating me up, man. I was just feeling like disastrous. So I went to him and I was like, hey man, like there's a couple exercises we got to cut out. There's a couple things like I think if we do them more strict and we do them like this, maybe we get a better result from it. And his shoulders are beat to shit too, man. So
Really?
yeah, so part of it is he's in the beginning he was just pushing me as hard as he did back in the day, and I think he was beating himself up too. And so when I went to him and said like, hey man, I think we can do this more productively and still get the same out of it, he was like, all right, take the reins. I'll push you when I think you need to be pushed, but let's do some of the exercises and stuff that you want to do and how you want to do them. And so it's been cool, man. Like we kind of have blended some stuff. And then on some things, like I don't give any pushback, like back and legs, like it's worked this off season. I improved like drastically in those things. And there's not a lot to it that it was too much different from mine. Sometimes he puts on a little bit too much weight, in my opinion. And it's like, you have to get it. But I also think that that's built my mental toughness to be able to say like I can train with anyone and I'm not scared that there's not a single IFBB pro that can out train me or push me into the ground. Like
That's awesome.
If I can train with Branch, I can train with anyone, man. So
yeah, I mean, I had that attitude, and I trained legs with Ronnie, I trained legs with Dorian, and Branch was the only person, and he did a bunch of people, but the only person I ever felt like I want to quit. I didn't, but I wanted to, was Branch, because it's just the pace is relentless. There's barely any rest. It's heavy weights, it's a lot of reps, and it's just bang, bang, bang. There's no resting around waiting. I couldn't believe. And this was at like 9 and 10 o'clock at night after a full day. We had done 2 store appearances. The gym had no AC, that doesn't matter to him. He doesn't.
No, that's where he thrives, man.
What a tough bastard.
That's where we thrive, is in the heat. And, yeah, man. So it's a different way, but it works, man. And like training legs with him, you're absolutely right. Like only two people that have ever made me want to quit a session and like actually tap out is Brian Dobson and Branch Warren.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, the only reason I think Branch knows how to train like that is because Brian did it to him for years and years and years and years.
Oh, I remember Branch telling me about the workouts that he used to train Johnny and Branch on leg day. Yep. It was ridiculous. It's like this and that and that and that. And then we're supersetting sled pulls with squats. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What human being could even endure that? But they did. Let's get back to you though. So Texas Pro, man, you don't want my pity, but that was a look that would have won a lot of shows I've been to. A lot of shows, even shows I've been to this year. I won't name names and disparage any of the winners, but you know, I could see the disappointment on your face when you took second. And Hector said, you had to get out of there. You didn't even stick around and pick up your paycheck. You know, emotionally, what was going through your head? Because that was, you couldn't have, I don't think you could have brought a much better package. You really delivered far and beyond what I expected, what anybody really expected of you, except the people who knew what you were going to look like. So, you know, what was running through your head when, unfortunately, you weren't the last guy standing?
Yeah, you know, man, it's tough for me because I grew up wrestling. So from the time I was 3, I have a wrestling background. I'm like unbelievably competitive, like to a fault, to be honest. My aunt always says, like, when me and my little brothers have to pee, I have to pee the furthest. Like, it's ridiculous. When I was a little kid, I'd flip over board games when I'd lose. Like, I definitely have to work on it still, to be honest. But a big part of that is why I've been so successful in this sport, because I take it as a chip on the shoulder. I've already, you know, I went back to work and know that I can improve. It's tough for me, man, too, because at the end of the day, I'm a young kid that hasn't proven myself yet. I really want to prove myself. And I really knew it was a split hair between us, or I felt that way. And so it was like Olympia qualification was right at my fingertips. And it gets, you know, it's not there yet. So that was big for me. And also at the end of the day, man, I didn't have a sponsor or anything like that. Or as far as a supplement sponsor or anything like that, just had Gasp and Better Bodies, which, you know, they're a clothing company. They don't pay the big bucks like these other companies can as far as supplements and stuff go.
Right.
And so the difference between first and second place is $10,000 and $4,000, right? So that's $6,000 that gets taken out of my pocket, if you will, which, you know, is like, that's a big deal for me. That makes or breaks my year, but is a big difference for me. That probably goes in a savings account for me and is a good cushion to look at, you know what I mean? So the difference there is a big deal for me too, you know, so it's tough. And getting out of there, I don't think was the best decision. After I went and showered and stuff, I was like, man, maybe I should have went and shook hands and, you know, got the congratulations and the hugs. But I'll tell you right now, the toughest thing to hear in the world is like, oh, I had you winning, or, you know, you won from the back, or this or that. Like, I know they're compliments, but also it kind of sucks because it's like, yeah, I thought I won too, or, you know, I wish I would have won, because like it makes a big difference for me, you know. So it's tough in those senses. Branch and I sat down and had a big talk afterwards, and he was like, look, man, at the end of the day, like, you can't leave and be disappointed like that, because those people, no matter what, even if they, like the fans, they don't know, they don't feel the disappointment, they're excited for you. You went from 4th place to 2nd place. You made huge improvements. And now that I've sat back and had time, like, I'm really, really proud of the 2nd place. You know what I mean? Like, I have a smile on my face. 2nd place. The guys, there's some guys that I beat that are unbelievable bodybuilders that I've looked up to for a long time. And so, like, looking back at it now, it's easy in hindsight to say, like, I'm proud of it. But in that moment, the competitor in me, I can't smile and be happy for 2nd place because I didn't train for that. So this, you know, it's tough, and I'm definitely going to have to get better at it, to be honest.
I mean, to your credit, you weren't like a poor sport on stage. I've seen that. You didn't like make any faces or shake your head or do anything like that. You just
no, absolutely. I wouldn't ever do that, or I don't want to do that. If I ever did,
it's a bad look. but I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I was just very disappointed. And I'm sure that it showed through.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, Steve Kuklo is no joke. He's a veteran in the iron. You beat Steve Kuklo. It's not like Steve was off. Steve looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Kamal Garni, the 212 Olympia champion, that guy's phenomenal. Quentin, you did very, very well. I know the win is what you want. That's what you train for. I know, but yeah,
Absolutely.
you should definitely be proud. Just the improvements alone, regardless of the placings, the changes you made in 1 year. It was a much tougher Texas Pro this year. There's no doubt.
100%.
It was that show just in 1 year it leveled up like crazy. That's why they just made. I'm sure you heard they made it a tier 2 show right after that.
Cool.
Yeah, so you get more points now. I don't think for this year's, but moving forward, it's going to be right up there with like, New York Pro and the other tier 2 shows.
That's really incredible for Sheila and Freddie. That's a big move for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned supplement sponsor, and I saw on your Instagram you do have a supplement sponsor now. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I just signed with Rise. They're a newer supplement sponsor, or a newer supplement company. They're 10 miles down the road here in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Which was a big benefit for me on why I chose them. I was in talk with quite a few companies, a little bit before Texas, and then especially after Texas, obviously, when people saw that, the hard work and stuff actually paid off for me. So the thing with Rise that really stuck out to me is they went from pretty much 0 to 100 in the last 3 years, which is incredible to me. I've got to walk through their facility and see their marketing team and stuff, and seen what they did profit wise from year 1 to now. And it's like they literally double their first year in profit each month now.
Wow.
So it's just insane, the system that they have. So the CEO, he's also an ex-college wrestler, and him and I hit it off very, very well when we got to meet. And so I actually got linked up through another a partner of mine, or a friend of mine, advisor of mine, advises him as well. So he kind of linked us up and said like, hey, maybe you guys can build a relationship. And like I said, I went up to the facility, got to see everything and how it runs. So they own an energy drink business that flavor collabs with all of the biggest people. Like we have Ring Pop, Kool-Aid, Sunny D. So it's really cool, man. Like I like the innovativeness of it. And then coming into it, they told me that like I can help with product development and be a big part of the team, as well as they're like unbelievable at social media marketing. So they've grown a couple athletes from like 200, 300,000 followers to like over 1 million.
Wow.
And yeah, so their marketing team really, like, they saw me and they were like, we can blow you up and really help you with that, which is important for my brand as well, not just their brand. So the benefits there really stuck out to me. So, and then, like I said, the headquarters is 10 miles from my house. That makes it so that I can go shoot content there constantly. They're building an in-house facility gym for shooting content.
Wow.
And they're like, what equipment do you want? So that makes it even cooler. And then I'm the only real like competitive bodybuilder that they've decided to bring on. So they've worked with some MMA people, they've worked with some social media influencers and stuff, and they've had a lot of success. But now they're ready to kind of step into the bodybuilding market. They have the money to develop products that are going to be more towards bodybuilding stuff, which is really cool. So before they have like the whey protein, which is incredible. And then they have a bunch of pre-workouts that are flavor collabed and they're just unreal. But now we'll be able to step into some more things like making some intras and some things like that, some fat burners, some other things in that sense. So it'll be cool that I'll be able to help with that. And then, like I said, I'm kind of getting in from ground zero, which I think is an important part for me. I want to grow with the brand and help be a part of it. And so with me being 10 miles from the headquarters and being able to get involved, I think it will be important for me.
Let people know it's Rise, RYSE. They got their own cool spelling on it. RYSE. You'd see, if you're following Martin, you'd see that in his bio on Instagram. But man, have they talked about doing something like a Martian line? Or I don't want to give them all the ideas, but man, that seems like a pretty cool thing to go, because that's your nickname, and Martian. Martian Blast, Martian. I don't know. I'm not a marketing guy, but
Yeah, no.
something
So
like
we've actually talked a little bit about that. If everything goes well in the first 6 months or to the year, then we'll probably end up developing something like that. So
that.
that's
Nice.
like I said, I saw all that as a big opportunity for me of why this would be the best company for me to work with. And so I think that with that, and like you said, if I could end up doing something along those lines of a Martian line and stuff like that, that just grows my brand even more, you know. So
Right.
it's very exciting. And then the social media aspect, like I told you, I mean, if I can grow to 1 million followers,
Yeah.
that just helps me in all aspects and helps the sport and makes sales for them as well, you know. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the social media numbers nowadays, as everyone knows. Now I'm going to turn to your love life. Yeah. Because it's not all about broccoli and biceps, guys. We get deep on
yeah.
on there. I'm curious. So you're with fitness superstar Ariel. How do you pronounce her last name?
Kadar.
Kadar. Okay. Because there's no vowel in there between
Yeah.
the H and the R. So I never know what to do there. So she was in Florida, right? Previously?
Yeah, she's still in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. I thought she had moved to Texas to be with you, and I was going to say,
Oh
oh,
no, not yet.
oh,
Not
okay,
yet.
okay, all right. I'm just curious how you guys. Where did you guys meet? How did you guys start talking? If you want to talk about, it. If you don't, say Ron. Well, enough, Ron.
No, we can talk about it a little bit. So I actually, we've known. I mean, obviously, I've known of her forever. She's been a superstar in the industry forever. And then we met at the Arnold right after she won, and we just kind of hit it off really well out there. And so we started talking a little bit, texting back and forth and stuff. So I asked her to come out to Texas for a guest posing that I had, and just like ask if we could spend some time together and see how things went. And it turned out super, super well for us, man. So we've done the relationship or the long distance thing back and forth. And then what I went to Sweden, obviously. And then when I came home, she came out here for quite a while. And just came and stayed for like, I think it was like 2 weeks or something like that. And then she went home and I've went back out there a time, and then she's come back out here a couple times since, just because I've been in prep, so I didn't want to travel too much. But now with her getting ready for the Olympia, we'll kind of have to make things work either way. So she's still in Fort Lauderdale though, and she has one goal on her mind is Miss Olympia, and so I wanted her to be in the best environment for her to do that. She could have done that here, but just we have a lot going on, and like that'd be a big commitment, especially because we've only been together for like 6-ish months. So it'd be like kind of jumping straight in head first. So
Gotcha.
with that, we want her to have her Olympia prep be as perfect as it can be and not rush things or feel like it's rushed.
Yeah.
And so we want her to win. And so that's what matters. So we'll keep doing what we're doing for now and make it work.
Cool. All right. Thanks for being so forthcoming, giving us all the scoop there. Last thing I guess I'll ask about is the stinky fish challenge in Sweden. Because I've never smelled, I don't know what it's, do you remember the name of this fish? It's in a can, right?
Yeah, it's called Sustrami.
So did you even eat the fish, or was just the smell alone? Because I saw the video did Giles shoot it? I think Giles shot that video.
Yeah. So I did end up eating it, taking a bite of it. I chewed it and ended up puking. So the thing is, man, is it honestly doesn't taste bad. It just tastes salty.
Okay.
But the smell is so bad when you chew, it wafts through your nose. And I'm super, super sensitive olfactory anyways. Like I'm super sensitive to smells as is. Like if the trash can smells, I'm like, it needs to go out. So of course they picked me to open the can because they knew that they were going to get a response probably like that from me.
Yeah.
But dude, I've smelled some pretty bad things. I grew up on a ranch. There's some nasty things that happen with cows, and you know, they get infections and stuff. I've smelled some nasty stuff. I'll tell you what, that is not consumable. That is not for humans. When I smelled that, it was like runny dog poop in a can. It was the worst
Oh,
smell I've
oh.
ever. Oh, it was horrible, bro.
Well, you know what? I could see people were like 20, 30 feet away and they could smell it from that far away.
Oh, for sure. I went like clear to the other side of the dock,
You know?
and like the wind would like waft
Ugh.
some of it over there, and it would hit me, and I'd just instantly start gagging again. It
Mm.
was it was something else, man.
So that's just like an initiation thing, kind of like, you know, like a fraternity thing almost. Like you go over there, that's where the gas better buys headquarters are, right? So everyone has to do that the first time they go there.
Yep, yeah.
Oh,
So
gross.
it's kind of a tradition or whatever, and the gross thing is the Swedes, not most of them. Let me take that back. There's quite a few though that they like it, like they eat it and enjoy it, and they're like, oh, it's not that bad, and I'm like, y'all are crazy. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Man, you've seen some of the things Japanese people eat. No offense, Japanese people, but
Yeah, no, I'll try just about anything if it looks good, and because I kind of go by if it looks good, it's probably gonna taste good.
yeah.
And then every once in a while I get fooled. But if it looks like poop and smells like poop, I
Oh,
don't think you should eat it.
man, yeah. Clearly, that's just they do that to test your metal to see if you can
Definitely.
see if you can stand it. But I would have been puking my guts out right there with you, guy. Oh, no thanks. So we're doing this interview on a Tuesday. So the Arnold UK is about less than 4 weeks out at this point, or 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's about 3.5 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah. So, man, I mean, if you can look even better than you did in Texas, that's going to be something special to see. Because, like I said, I don't think I could have asked much more. I'm very, very, very picky with things like conditioning, and I was very, very pleased with the look you brought. As I think most people who saw you were just blown away. Because last year you didn't give us too much. I mean, the potential looked like it was going to take longer, but you did it in 1 year. And I know Branch played a big role, but you did the work, kid. You did all the dieting and those 25-gram carb days and all the cardio and stuff. So, you know, props to you, Martin. You really pulled it off.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I mean, honestly, dude, last year was just I dropped the ball. Coaching myself and stuff was just tough, and really putting a lot of pressure on me to be a good pro and be big enough, if you will. So that's kind of why last year was a fluke, in my opinion, and it kind of gave people a wrong perspective of what I was capable of quickly. I think people still knew what I was capable of, but like you said, thought 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And so that was good that we proved that wrong. And I'm super excited, man. I promise that I'm going to bring a much better package. I'm going to be in better condition. I'm already starting to dial things back in and really push for that. So just to be able to be at this lean for this long, there's no reason why my skin shouldn't be thinner, and why I can't be a little fuller and harder and drier than I was at this Texas Pro. So cool. I'm very excited to show what we can do over there, and hopefully we get an O qualification.
Yeah. I'm wishing you the best. Wishing you the best, Martin. All right. Well, that wraps it up. I thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again. You're 25 years old. I love seeing new, fresh blood in the sport. We had enough 35 to 45-year-old guys there for a long time, and now we're finally getting some awesome young guys like yourself, and that's what we always need to keep this thing going. And that's the bottom line in the end, is keep pro bodybuilding going strong. So, you know, you're part of the reason it is. That's it. So thank you, Martin, for everything you've been doing. Looking forward to seeing you in Arnold UK. Everybody, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, comment, share, do all that great stuff. And that's it. Thanks for watching Ronline Report with Martin, the Martian Fitzwater. We'll see you next time.